On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get the win over the San Antonio Spurs. And I never thought I'd be so happy for a win over the Spurs.
3-1 Dallas Mavericks.
The Mavericks went down 23-3 to start the game. How did they come back? We'll tell you on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the comeback crooner, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Nick, currently there are 4 teams in the Western Conference with 1 loss or less.
Oh?
The Golden State Warriors, who are playing right now against Memphis, which they could lose. That would take this down to 3. Utah won tonight. They're still undefeated. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 3-1. And the 4th team on this list, your Dallas Mavericks.
Great vibes, man. Just great vibes. Like great vibes. Yeah, great vibes. No, sensational vibes. And like the vibes are immaculate.
Have you ever felt more unsure about a 3-1 team?
Oh my goodness, probably. I mean, didn't you say the Timberwolves are
3-1?
I'm quite unsure about
I was
them.
on this pod saying that I thought the Kings and the Wolves would make the play-in tournament. And I'm not feeling that bad about that right now.
Good morning, Isaac.
The Dallas Mavericks get the win. We'll break it all down, tell you about it. This episode of Locked On Mavs is brought to you by McDonald's. Proudly serving communities since 1965, McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. Just like I'm loving the result of the Dallas Mavericks versus San Antonio Spurs game. Mavericks get the win 104-99, but the score tells you nothing. The score tells you not what happened in this game because the Mavericks.
Oh, well, does anything tell anything? No, I think this is the biggest. I tweeted this after the game. I said the biggest thing you've learned about the Mavs over the first 4 games is blank. And there are a decent amount of replies on this. And it's like, I just don't know. I think the answer is I don't know what I've learned huge about the Mavs. There's like smaller things here and there, but I've never seen a 4-game start like this.
Yeah, never. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Go to Locked On Mavericks. You can find us there. I'm going to show you just the lead tracker. This is something I like to look at to see how the flow of a game went. And look at this. This is insane. I've never seen a lead get built like this so early in a game. But, Isaac, if you're going to go down 20 points, it might as well be in the first quarter, in like the first 7 minutes of the game.
Yep. I mean, it's kind of the same concept of playing around with rotations or the whole playing 15 players. Like, hey, if you're going to do it at the beginning of the season, compared to the end. But yeah, I mean, it was 23-3 in the first quarter. And, first off, we need to lead into the game that, Porzingis obviously was out of this game, with lower back tightness. Sterling Brown did not play in this game. Trey Burke was not available for this game. So immediately
also out.
Yeah, Boban out, of this game. So, there was some dialogue before the game. It's like, all right, who's going to start? Is Maxi going to start in front? That's who I thought would start. I think that's who you thought would start too.
I thought he would go with Maxi to keep with the 2 bigs.
Yeah.
However,
he went with your boy, Reggie Bullock. And I'm super excited about that.
Bullock Brigade.
And honestly, though, like, they still started off super slow. And
the start was awful.
What is happening? What is going on?
It was the worst start they'd had. And I got people tweeting at me, so do you want more minutes from Reggie Bullock after this start? And I was like, okay, well. But how did the Mavericks get down so fast so far? Jakob Poeltl's a really good defender. Jakob Poeltl is really good at defending the rim. He's just a good defender in general.
Unless he switched off on Luka.
Unless he switched off into space. He's good at the rim, though. And Luka just kept forcing the Dwight-Luka pick, I guess it would be Luka-Dwight pick and roll. And he kept trying to force passes to Dwight that either were off on Luka's part or most of them were just Dwight Powell just can't get to them, couldn't hang on to them, couldn't finish. Poeltl, recovered enough so that they couldn't. And so that was just like that was kind of their whole. It seemed like the start of their offense was just, let's just get as many pick and rolls with Dwight and Luka as we possibly can. And it was just not working at all. And then, of course, the Mavs weren't hitting any threes, weren't hitting open threes. Spurs were hitting all their shots. The Mavericks defense actually wasn't that bad to start the game. 23 points in like the beginning of the first quarter is not bad. It was just they couldn't score at all.
No, yeah, nothing was working. I thought that they would start off firing on all cylinders because it's like, okay, sweet. You have, shooters around, run the pick and roll to Dwight, but it just didn't work. I think a lot of it had to do with just one team. And I know people don't like this answer. One team was just making the shots. The other team wasn't, but it still didn't look as smooth as I thought it would look offensively either.
The other thing is this Spurs team has some like long, lanky defenders. Like we mentioned, Pirtle's really good at the rim. You have Keldon Johnson, Dejounte Murray out on the perimeter. Like Derek White is quick. Lonnie Walker's really quick out there. And so you just got a bunch of athletes that can just get around and fight through screens and stuff like that. And so it was hard for the Mavericks to get anything going. I'm not sure if there's like a one thing fixes all, but Dwight Powell was so rough in this game. Just so brutal in this game. And when he gets overmatched by another center like that, especially when he can't get his rolling going, it's just really hard for him to contribute in a lot of other ways.
Yeah. It wasn't the best game for Dwight. Are you still on stretch 5 Dwight Island, or
my whole thing at the beginning of the season
did you sell your tent, or
that three he took was rough too, but he has not been spacing the floor at all. He's taking open threes, but
no, I think, we can talk about Maxi probably in another segment, because when Maxi's playing the 5, there's a lot of different thoughts of where this team could go. It was the basis of why I asked Maxi. I ask.
What a weird Freudian slip you just.
We've been wearing masks for so long that I feel like I still talk about it. But Maxi as the center, I think it's intriguing. I asked him about it after the game, kind of like what it changes offensively or defensively and stuff. So, but yeah, okay. I do want to praise him before we when we say like, hey, Dwight didn't have a good game. I want to praise the Mavs for defense, because this is another game they held an opponent under 100 points. Once again, I know it's the Spurs. It's not like they're facing the Nets of this, but
held a team under 100 points that shot 40% from 3. That's pretty hard to do. That's defense in other areas of the game.
So Bobby Crowley tweeted out after the game, the Mavs have won 28 games in a row, dating back to March 2019 when the opponent scores below 100 points. He said they're 38-4 in such games in the Luka era. Like that's big time. That, I mean, you hold an opponent under 100 points, you're pretty much guaranteeing a win for the Mavs right now. So I think, and shocker, get ready for this. Haralabob actually tweeted something positive about the Mavs. It's unique when you get the disgruntled ex-employee to tweet something good, but he tweeted something good about the Mavs during the game. I think it was the second half. And he said, hey, like the coaching staff deserves some credit for their approach to defense this year and how it does look different. And so the defense, I think Brunson would be my answer to the question earlier of what's the biggest thing you've learned over the first 4 games. I think for me, it's like, oh, Brunson looks like he's taken a leap. But I also think as a team-wise answer to that, for me, it would be the defense does look better.
Yeah, it definitely does. And you mentioned that they held them under 100 points, and they also shot 40% from 3. That's only happened 4 other times this season where a team has shot 40% from 3 or better and scored less than 100 points. 4 times so far this season out of the, tons of games that happen. And it doesn't happen. There's been 38 games where a team shot 40% from 3 or better this season. So it barely ever happens. So the Mavericks defense, there is something to it. There is something to the Mavericks being able to switch around. I think the added wings, I don't want to toot the Reggie Bullock horn again, but I will. But I think adding the extra wings, I think Frank Ntilikina in this game played some great defense. Having those having those extra bodies out there helps.
How are you feeling right now if you're Josh Green?
Like I got a lot of work ahead of me.
Yeah, I mean, when Frank, checked into this game, played 13 minutes, plus 24, solid minutes, hit a couple threes in this game. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when Frank shoots a 3, I'm like, Let's go.
I'm
Knock it down. Knock it down. I'm like so excited when it goes in because that's, obviously the key, for him taking another step. But if you're Josh Green, like they just signed Frank to a minimum contract this offseason, and Frank is playing over him, and another DNP-CD for him. And it's not a good look for Josh.
When Sterling Brown was out, you'd think if Sterling Brown is out, then Josh Green should come in and take those minutes. Instead,
I feel like I saw some tweets even when Sterling Brown was playing over the first few games of like, oh man, Josh Green's coming for his minutes, but now Brown was even out and Frank kind of like leapfrogged him.
Didn't even get him. So yeah. Insane. All right, coming up, we got to talk about the man that actually I think orchestrated this win, and that's Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson was the driving force behind this win. And so we'll talk about his game, how he was able to show out. We'll talk about Luka. We have a new term. I think Bibbs coined this, but asshole Luka is a term that's being used now where Luka just gets feisty and gets angry, and then he takes it out on the game. And we got some of that, so we'll talk about that later. But before we do, this episode of Locked On Mavs is brought to you by McDonald's. That's right, the McDonald's that you know. We're not just a candy bar peddler. We also get sponsored by McDonald's. They're proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. A place where classmates can meet up for a study group knowing that they'll have dependable Wi-Fi and an endless supply of French fries and McFlurries. I
can't wait to study there.
Do you ever wonder like how many single fries are at a McDonald's at one time?
All the time.
You ever just sit there and go like, how many do you think they have in the whole place? It's a place that you look forward to stopping on a long road trip to rest your legs. Go to McDonald's, get yourself some of those French fries, get yourself a McFlurry. Stop by on the way after the game. So head to your local McDonald's and refuel, reconnect. Did somebody say Locked On Mavs watch party? The Mavs only play chaotic games, so we'd only have to order like a chaotic thing at McDonald's, like an apple pie plus like a whole bunch of other stuff, just everything on the menu. Maybe we have to order. Go to McDonald's, guys. We are loving it. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into this game. Jalen Brunson, man. Jalen Brunson had an incredible game because, and you look at the stats and you say, okay, he had 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. He was plus 21, and you're like, okay, that's a solid game. Like, that's not an incredible game where you're like, he blew it out. He had 30 points. Like, remember that Bulls game a couple years ago where he had 30 points in a start? It wasn't a game like that where his stats are super gaudy, but he and his leadership and his pace that he brought to the game, that's a very specific thing we need to talk about. What he brought to this game was a chance because Luka was just not hitting well early. Luka at halftime had, what did he have? 7 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 turnovers, and he was a minus 23 in the plus minus to start the game. So like anytime Luka was on the floor, it seemed he just couldn't get anything going. And every once in a while that's going to happen to a guy, right? They're just not going to have it. And the Mavs need to have somebody else that can pick up the slack. This is why we've been saying Mavs need a secondary creator. They need somebody else that can get buckets while Luka's not, on the floor. How about they need somebody to get buckets when Luka's on the floor and not getting buckets himself, right? And Jalen Brunson came in and provided that. He sped the pace up. He had early bucket and then 2 early assists. Really just kickstarted the Mavs offense. The Mavericks started the game. We've been saying it over and over again. 23-3. The Mavericks were down. Mavs went on a 10-0 run to end the first quarter. They continued that. It was a 16-0 run into that second quarter. And the Spurs missed 13 straight shots. So the Mavs defense was also really picking it up there. Brunson hit a 3. And then they just kept coming back. The Mavs got the lead with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. Like it was just as simple as that. As Jalen Brunson got in the game and the Mavericks are able to just take full momentum of that game.
He looks so fresh out there. I think that's the word I was trying to land on. Like even that late offensive rebound, how big was that? Like that was such a big board from him. And I mean, he's like arguably the smallest dude on the floor, and dude just comes flying in. But even
against the Spurs, he is for sure, unless Forbes is out there.
Yeah, but like I feel like his dribble moves are quicker this year. Yep. I feel like just penetrating to the rim seems faster. It just seems like physically he's in a better spot that we just haven't seen. Just a notch higher that it's noticeable. And yeah, more efficient shooting wise, creating space. Like he had that play in I think it was the fourth quarter where he just drove in and stopped on a dime, did this fadeaway, and he created all the space, but just teardrop jumper, mid-range, knock it down. And it's like, if you can get that consistency out of him as this secondary scorer, especially when Luka's off the floor, it's massive. I mean, we just spent yesterday's podcast talking about like, what is the ceiling? Somebody wrote in the mailbag of like, what's the ceiling for Jalen Brunson? And, I threw out there Andre Miller, and I'm like freaking feeling bad about it. And watching this game, I'm like, dang it. I mean, even though Andre Miller had a long, successful career, but you watch a game like tonight and you're like, dang, he really can be Goran Dragic, like peak Dragic.
Yeah.
And, Dragic, and long time NBA all-star, 1 year. It's like, even after the game, Jason Kidd, he said he can be a starter in this league. He is a born leader. Yeah. And it's so, man, if Jalen Brunson plays like this raises the floor of this team. And it just adds a whole different dynamic. But I think it goes also to this bigger thing that we've consistently said. The whole Maxi Brunson thing tonight, even watching Dorian tonight, I'm like super happy for Dorian hitting 3 threes in this game. The problem with the Mavericks has not been the role players. It has not been that. We've been saying this, that Brunson
for like
fine.
3 years.
Maxi is fine. Dorian is fine. Like even the Maxi stuff, I got some tweets tonight. It's like Maxi's this, Maxi that, like kind of trying to halfway hate them. I'm like, guys, these dudes are fine. They're going to be inconsistent. They're role players. That's part of it.
Yeah.
The problem has been player 2 and player 3 as far as like the best players on the team. And this just shows you tonight that Maxi, Jalen Brunson, Dorian, these guys, they're great role players. We just got to figure out the top talent on the team.
Can Jalen Brunson move into that third player or even into that second player spot? If you're talking about,
I think that you're pushing it at that point. I think that then you're doing what we've been doing with Dorian and Max and these guys, of asking them to be like number 3, number 4 on the team. And then it's like, I think if you're asking Brunson to be number 2 on your team, I think there's a problem then. It's not disrespect to him, but it's like Brunson needs to be a 6 man, like what he did tonight coming off the bench. That's amazing. That's what you need on this team. But if you ask him to play 35, 36 minutes a game and be the second best scorer on the team, I feel like you're kind of asking too much of him at that point.
Yeah, and his minutes are taxing because he's defending guards out on the perimeter and he's driving like every single play, right? I mean, those are some taxing minutes. So you're not asking him to play 38, 39 minutes or something like that. He's not Michael Finley just running from like 3-point line to 3-point line sometimes out there. I asked Brunson after the game, seemed like he's been distributing a lot more. He had 11 assists in the last game. He had 5 assists in this game. He's just seems like he's had more of an emphasis on distributing the ball. And I said, is it an emphasis that you've made yourself on your game, or is it about something that the coaching staff has asked you to do, or is it the new scheme? And he said, coach has given me the freedom. I have to balance wanting to get guys involved, but not lose my aggressiveness. And I think that was interesting that he said that coach has given him freedom. Maybe he's saying that he didn't get freedom in the last regime, in the last system or anything like that. But there's been a big emphasis on, okay, Jalen Brunson, when Luka is out, you have the ball, and that's it. Like no one else is. Like, we're not putting Tim Hardaway Jr. out there with you to try and take away a couple possessions. We're not doing the water bugs where Trey Burke's out there with you, and then you have to do his turn, my turn. It's Jalen Brunson, right? Like he is the straw that stirs the drink for the second unit there. And I think that's freeing for a guy like that, a guy that has been the number 1 player on his team forever, right? Was like the college player of the year or something like that, and won a championship at Villanova. He's a guy that's been the number 1, and now he's filling that role, and he's just gotten better every single year. And so the Mavericks, I agree with you about, can he be the number 3, number 2? The Mavericks have found the guy that fills in when Luka is off the floor, basically. Like, this is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, and
if they want to win a title or something like that, they'd have to fill still those 2 and 3 roles in the offense.
Yeah, and like they obviously play well together. Like it's fine. I don't want us to fall into the trap of like, hey, well, now he can be number 2, and it's like, oh no, like let's make him a great number 4 or 5 man on the team. Like that's the ideal spot. Can he stay as a 6 man? Because there are still like defensive limitations stuff. Run him out there with Luka all the time and starter and all this stuff. I love him as a 6 man. And even though
Luka's going to win Defensive Player of the Year,
of course he is. But honestly, I was going to say something about the awards. I mean, if Brunson keeps playing like this, he's legitimately going to be in that 6-man running. Like that's just part of it. I mean, he's going to be
a smart guy that had him.
I don't know who was it. Is the Bears fan on the spot?
The Bears. Yeah, let's talk about Luka, and I have a question about Jalen Brunson versus Luka. When Jalen Brunson plays and when Luka plays, and it was something kids said after the game, and I'm curious if the Mavericks are sometimes better off with Brunson than Luka. We'll talk about it coming up.
No.
But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're absolutely delicious. They are great. Coconut marshmallow right now, the Built Puffs. You have to go check it out. That bar, 140 calories. 17 grams of protein, 6 grams of sugar. If you're about the macros, that's about as good as you can get for a protein bar that you're going to take as a snack, as a breakfast replacement, or something like that. That's about as good as you're going to get. There's all kinds of different flavors. You can check them out. Go to built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your full order. You can order multiple boxes. You can order even this 18-bar mixed box. You can get 2 of each flavor, of every single flavor they have. You can build your own box. You can mix and match a couple of flavors. You can get a cooler for it. There's all kinds of stuff you can get with Built Bar, and you get them right now. There's a new flavor coming out in like an hour as we're recording this. So there's a brand new flavor of Built Bar that's coming out as you're listening to this right now. There's a brand new one. So go check it out, built.com, promo code LOCKED15. Also want to tell you about betonline.ag, the fastest and easiest way to bet, to put down some money on sports. They have all kinds of NFL stuff. Always bringing out the NFL lines. They email us what the lines are going to be, and like they emailed us the week 8 lines like a couple days early. It's wild how fast these guys get these lines out. They're so quick all the time. My Cincinnati Bengals are 10.5-point favorites on the road against the Jets. Isaac, will my Bengals cover that line? 10.5 points.
Yeah, they will. They got that.
Will my Chicago Bears overcome a 4-point deficit? They're 4-point underdogs at home against the 49ers. That seems weird to me. 49ers have not played that well.
Yeah, I'm not betting anything on that.
All kinds of stuff you can bet on betonline.ag. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get a 50% welcome bonus to first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts, where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. So Jason Kidd said something interesting at the end of the game, which he seems to do every game. He said what Jalen Brunson brought in this game, which is why he was so important, was energy, and they were moving faster than the last group. Now, I facetiously a little bit said, are the Mavericks sometimes better when Brunson is on the court than Luka? Luka moves at 1 speed. Luka moves at Luka speed, right? And the Mavericks are great for it. Luka does incredible things. He's always, he's carried the Mavericks on his back. But there are times when you need to go faster. And I'm not sure that's in Luka's bag of tricks at this point, between the conditioning and just the way
he's got it. He did it in the Olympics. It's just right now, I don't know. Does it fit? The team it's just not happening right now.
It's not happening right now. And Jalen Brunson came out and he brought that pace. And I think that's a big thing that this Mavericks team needs, is to be able to just, all right, let's turn on the Jets a little bit. Let's play a little faster. Let's get out there and move. And maybe it's just the thing that Luka needs to be encouraged to do more, because I'm not saying he can't play fast, right? That's stupid. Luka can play every way, basically. Yeah. But I think there is a question with the conditioning. Can he play fast? Can he keep up?
I still don't think he's in great shape.
Right. And Tim Cato, I think, pointed out during the game that Luka's just not getting separation on some of his drives. At the first quarter, there are some times he just wasn't getting separation and wasn't getting by guys like he normally does. And so in the fourth quarter, how Luka was able to succeed was he just bullied Jakob Poeltl. Like, he just pushed him into the rim and he would finish over top of him. And there's not many players in the world that can do that. Like, not many ball handlers that can do that to a center. So obviously I'm not saying that Luka is, can't do something, is a terrible player. But I think what Jalen Brunson brought with the pace was huge for the Mavericks, and it's something that Luka wasn't doing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, what Brunson brought off the bench was huge for him tonight. And you were talking about Luka, this is an example of why, plus minus can never be the end-all, tell-all stat in the game.
Right.
Because Frank Ntilikina, 13 minutes, plus 24. Great minutes. Like, it's no knock on Frank.
Made 2 threes.
Luka, minus 19 in this game. And, 11 of 19 from the field, right at 58%, hit 3 threes, 37% from 3, 5 assists in this game. He had some big time shots in the fourth quarter.
Huge.
So, but you look at him and be like, oh, he was minus 19. Like, it's just,
yeah.
There's always context when it comes to some of these stats. But yeah, I mean, we've also went 24, 25 minutes in this pod and really haven't talked about Maxi a ton. Maxi, I think, when you get fully healthy, Maxi, which he looks like he's back fully healthy.
I was nervous there for a minute. What was that, in the third quarter where he just looked, or fourth quarter where he came up and he was holding that right leg? I was like, ooh, that's the same leg that he had the Achilles injury. I was nervous there for a minute, but he came back in the game, which was good.
He came back. I mean, he had 6 blocks in this game. I mean, he had a nasty block on Pirtle at the rim that was like just body on body. I mean, Pirtle fell down. I was all super hyped. You know, I hit 4 threes in this game, 50% from the 3-point line. This is the max. So when I tweeted, I was like, he's one of the most underrated players in the league because he is. When you say that, you're not trying to say he's a freaking all-star. He's not. But he is one of the most underrated role players in the league, that when you look around the league at really good teams, they all have these like solid, good role players that play big-time roles. You look at the Bucks last year, handful of these dudes that played solid big minutes. They knew the role. They played the role well. Maxi, when he's healthy, he plays his role so well. The biggest question right now is Dwight didn't play very good.
Right.
KP hasn't played the best and is obviously hurt right now. When they throw Maxi out there by himself as the lone big, I am fascinated by it. I want more of it. Sign me up. Let's do this. And that was basically the question I asked him afterwards. I just want to hear from his words, like, how's the offense or defense like better, or how's it different? I didn't say better. I said, how is it different? When you're the lone big out there.
How are you so much better than everyone else?
I know. Well, honestly, I was trying to word it in a way to where it didn't come across that to where he's like trying to say he's better than these other guys. But because it is different defensively, he even talked about it. He's like, there's a difference when I'm the only big out there. We're giving up a little bit of size. So it means we have to scrap a little bit more and all this stuff. But they can switch everything defensively because he's quick enough to guard on the perimeter. And, he's obviously a shooter too. And I'm fascinated, especially when you're not going against a Joel Embiid type of player. I'm assuming Jokic will be out against, in Denver against that game. I'm assuming, with his knee injury the other day. But, if they're facing teams like San Antonio, whoever, I kind of want to see this lineup more, but we probably won't that much just because KP will probably be back soon.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think Jason Kidd is he obviously played Dwight Powell again in the fourth quarter when Luka came back in. He wanted that roller with him. He just stuck that whatever roller, Willie or Dwight, with Luka whenever he played. But he came out in the fourth quarter with that lineup of Maxi as the lone big, and he stuck with it for a while. He didn't throw Willie back out there.
Maybe the council convened at halftime.
He didn't throw Willie back out there. Willie only played 14 minutes. He didn't throw Moses out there. Boban wasn't playing, but he didn't try and throw another big out there. He stuck with that, And then even when Dwight Powell was out there, he had Dwight Powell as the lone big for a little while too. So it's not like he's inflexible. Like Jason Kidd's inflexible and won't do it again. So I'm not sure you can say never. We'll never see that again, or we won't see it.
No, not never. I just don't know if we're gonna see it a lot whenever KP is back playing.
True.
And it's like, all right, if they're wanting to run the double bigs, but then who's playing with like all this stuff. So I'm hoping that we can see it more, because I do want to see more of just Maxi at the 5 with, 4 wings, basically.
Maxi Kleber, 6 blocks, 4 made threes. How many times do you think that's happened in NBA history?
I don't know, less than 15.
I think I said it actually on this podcast. 16 times it's happened in NBA history. 17 now with Maxi. 16 times. Robert Horry did it in 1996. Doug Christie did it in 1997. Ray Flafrenz, former Mavs legend, did it 3 times there in 2000, 2002. Sean Marion, when he was in Phoenix, did it 1 time in 2008. Dante Green in 2009 did it for Sacramento. Al Horford did it in 2016. Brooke Lopez, Anthony Davis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Karl Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis for that Mavs Cleveland game that one time when I think it was when Boban and KP played together. Remember they started together?
Oh my gosh.
And KP had like this insane game. He did it 1 time, and then Miles Turner did it 1 time. That's all in NBA history that's had 6 blocks and 4 made threes. That's hard to do. It was an impressive feat for him.
Yeah, it was. And yeah, I mean, I could praise Maxi a lot on this pod. So more Maxi.
He's a great role player. And the Mavs need to keep him fresh. I was very nervous about that injury because when he's good, it just gives the Mavericks a different thing that not a lot of players can do. Like listen to the players that did that are still playing in the NBA, like Al Horford, Brook Lopez, Anthony Davis, Jaren Jackson, Karl Anthony Towns, like Miles Turner. There's not many players in the NBA like that right now.
Yeah, solid defensively. Now we see who's going to play on Friday night. It's second night of a back-to-back. How we'll see kind of where the KP injury is at. If KP plays, then it's like, okay, well, he could have played probably in game one. They were just cautious of that game one of the back-to-back. So if he plays in Denver, that's a good sign. How will the offense change? Will it look different without with him if he does? Yeah. Is anybody else set out in this game? Is Boban?
There's a lot of things to watch out for. Is the Trey Burke stuff? Trey Burke was out with health and safety protocols. What does that mean?
I have no clue.
He didn't get the vaccine, so what does that mean for him? That is a real interesting question. And you're wondering if KP if he could have played, if they just decided, all right, we'll sit him for the Spurs game instead of the Nuggets game because it's a back-to-back. Jokic is right now, as we know, of questionable. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Mavericks, but it'll be an interesting game. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.